The first time I talked to him, I said, wow, he's going to be great when he comes to Livingstone. It's attorney Ken Harris. He's the author of Dark Trades. If you haven't read it, you've got to read it. And he calls this kind of writing, or Miss Thomas calls this kind of writing, phenomenal writing connecting the South's cultural history to the future amazing reading. I think that's exciting. And we put on the poster that we sent out to everybody, the flyer, that this was historical fiction. How different would society appear if the South had won the Civil War in the United States? So that's what the book talks about. And I'm going, oh wow, that could have happened. That could have happened. Because if you think of the economics of it, boy, it could have happened. So in addition to being an attorney for 30 plus years, Mr. Harris has managed many high-profile cases as a litigator. Mr. Irvin Magic Johnson, y'all know Magic Johnson, is one of his many clients. Ken has been very familiar with the energy trades for 5 plus years. He is the CEO of one of the country's most successful minority energy traders. He obtained his undergraduate and law degrees from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Ken was born in Conroe, Texas, near Houston, but he grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, so that makes him one of us. So tonight he's going to present to you and tell you stories and what he wants you to know about his book and his life. And then Ms. Jackson will take over and moderate the question and answer period. Okay? All right, so Mr. Harris, let's welcome him, everybody. Is that mic going to project, or he needs to use another? He says you need to use that one.
Just press and hold the orange button. Press and hold. Yep. And then, yep. There it goes. There you go.
Well, look, first of all, thank you all for coming. I mean, it's a tough night, and I know the weather is bad, and then I'm kind of depressed. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, so many of you are Cowboys fans as well, I'm sure. So we're all down right now. And then I went to Carolina, and so Carolina basketball is not doing too well. So, tough times all around on the sports side, but just happy to be here, happy to have an opportunity to talk about the book and my journey and kind of what led me to write the book. The book is it's a strange type of dynamic because I wrote the book back in 2017, 2018. And, it's one of those things where you put your heart in something and then the book came out, it was published, but I wondered whether or not it would have any significance or sustainability in terms of what I was trying to get across to the community. And it really didn't at the time. There was nothing really going on in the general politic that created a dynamic so that people would latch hold to the book until this past election. And when that election occurred, and you had Donald Trump going against Ms. Harris, you started seeing a dynamic where there was I have to say it, a fear generating in our community. And that fear was based on whether or not we were prepared as a community to do what's necessary to survive if Ms. Harris lost. She did lose. And now those fears have materialized. And so the book is all about what would have happened if the South had won the Civil War. But I have people who come up to me now and say, well, we lost. We did lose. We lost this election, and the things that you talked about in the book are now coming to pass. The African American community is now irrelevant. Irrelevant is a term that is akin to invisibility. And that was one of the premises that I used when I wrote the book. Ralph Ellison and the Invisible Man has always been an inspiration to me. Because it's always been about, well, if you are an African American, like I was at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, is there an invisibility that you carry with you throughout the course of every day? You all are fortunate. You're at a prominent institution, and when you walk into this building and look beside yourself, you'll see somebody that looks like you. And people who look like each other tend to recognize each other. At Chapel Hill, I didn't have that luxury. I felt invisible most of the time. And you can just imagine what it must have been like back in slavery to deal with oppression and invisibility all at the same time. To know that no matter what you did, no matter what your aspirations were, no matter what you did to enhance yourself, there was a ceiling on your relevance, and you would remain invisible the entire time. So that started resonating with me. You know, what was it like to be a slave? But then I started thinking about, could we handle that now? Are we too soft of a community? You know, you had the civil rights movement. You kind of feel like they were hard. Like they could walk across a bridge and deal with someone spraying them with water or the dogs. But are we soft now? Would we be able to, today, deal with some of the oppression that our forefathers have experienced, whether it related to slavery or whether it related to the civil rights movement? And I have to be honest with you because I'm with family now. He said, we are soft. We don't want to admit it. We are soft as a community. And you do wonder whether or not we would have been able to deal with the challenges of the civil rights era. Or are we equipped now to deal with what we're actually facing today? Do you feel any hardness in our community? You feel like we're coming together to battle the upcoming oppression? Do you feel like we're working to elevate ourselves as a community, intellectually, as a group? Do you feel that? I don't. And it's a problem because it's happening today. And if we don't wake up soon, it is over for our community. Said and done. I was talking today, I did another interview, we were talking about this race that we run as African Americans. We have learned to run the race by ourselves as individuals. We're chasing individual success and accolades, okay? Other folks are running the race collectively, okay? So when they run up against challenges or oppression or difficulties, they tackle those things collectively, using their collective strength, while we're out there individually trying to fight those issues. It doesn't work. So, you know, going back to the book, I started thinking, well, are we strong enough? Will we be strong enough today to deal with what our forefathers dealt with in slavery? Because we came so close. A couple of battles, if they had gone a different way, we wouldn't be sitting here. And that is a reality. There was no guarantee that the North would win the Civil War, no guarantee that Sherman would do what he did. We came that close. Would we still be able to find a way as an African American community if the South had won the Civil War? So that's where I started. And the book is about a gentleman who is Harrison. And he is a gentleman who is a middle-aged gentleman. The year is 2018, and the city is Baltimore, and slavery still exists. And every day he gets up as a slave, working for a master, going to a cleaner, doing his job, and the money goes to his master. And he comes home every day, and he cooks, and they tell him what to do every day, all day long. He's monitored when he goes to church. He's monitored when he goes to a social function. Everything that he does is monitored. There was no guarantee that that would be you and I. Just imagine. And you confront all day like there's something that we did to prevent us from being in that situation. We were fortunate. We were blessed. So he has to live with that all day long. And the ultimate question is there something inside of us, despite those types of circumstances, that would still allow the African American community to prevail? And I don't know how many of you all have read the book, but you can guess what my answer was. We definitely have something inside of us that would allow us to prevail regardless of that type of dangerous and oppressive circumstance. But we would have to do it collectively. One person can't make a difference. When we start talking about, hey, our personal success, and I don't want to get, they called it, crabs in a barrel back in the day. I don't want to work with other people so that we can collectively be successful. I want to make sure that I'm the one who gets out of the barrel. Well, this book shows the difference between thinking like that versus sacrificing and thinking collectively. So generally, that's what the book is about. It also has some notes about economics, because what's happening today is not just about race. You think it's about race, and the goal is to go out here and we gonna claim that we're being oppressed and it's all about racism. Well, that's step one. It's about economics. It's about economics. We have to do something with ourselves to tap in to the economic engine in the United States. You can't sit back and complain and then not act. We can't beg anymore for someone to help us. It doesn't exist. We have to start doing things collectively to tap into this economic power source that we have in the economy. And there is no sympathy. So don't cry. Don't look for a shoulder to lean on, because it doesn't exist. If we don't get together and tap into this economic opportunity or the economic opportunities that we have, it's just on us. We're just left out. Part of the book talks about energy, and I'm really concerned. I am the CEO of a company called RDAF Energy Solutions. It is one of the largest black-owned energy marketers in the United States. What do we market? We market and sell power electricity. We market and sell hydrogen. We market and sell natural gas. What else would we do? Propane? Nitrogen, right? Isn't it interesting that we're sitting here in this beautiful library now, the lights are on. How many kids walk into a beautiful building like this and look up and say, the lights are on. Now, we pay the light bill, they generate power, but who is they? Right? Who is they? How do they do it? How do they get paid? How much do they get paid? And how can I get paid with them? See, we don't think like that. But the one thing that exists in everything that we do is energy. How many times do we get together in our community and talk about the fact that your water is hot because natural gas flows through your house? Or your heating comes on because natural gas flows through your house? How many people say they want to go work for Piedmont Natural Gas versus trying to be a baller? How many people talk about going to work for Duke Energy? These people get paid. Our community doesn't talk about that. How many folks in our community talk about solar energy? Do you know how much money is being generated and spent now concerning solar energy? How many of you all have heard of data centers, for example? The data center craze, right? Anybody in here done any study or looking at the data centers in the United States? Amazon, AWS, is the largest purchaser of power in the world. They're doing data centers. Why are data centers important? Everybody in here knows about AI. We all about AI, ChatGPT, and going on AI, and using AI to do your papers in school and all that good stuff. Data centers. Data centers use a remarkable amount of energy because you have to run those computers 24/7 all day long. Anybody who's working with a data center or for a data center is getting flat out paid. How many of us aspire to do that? These are the types of issues and challenges that we have in our community now. An awareness of where the world is going concerning economics, but also an awareness of how to participate. That's the challenge that we have in our community now. So the book is a journey. Harrison is the main character. He leverages things like politics. He leverages energy. He leverages camaraderie. He's a big strategist. And that's the last thing I'll talk about in terms of the book and where I have a concern with our community, is that you have to plan. You have to strategize. We won't get anywhere as a community unless we're getting together and putting some thought into the collective plan. We don't seem to be doing that, but they are. And I hate to bring him up, but you can look at our president. Do you see the pace that that man has? You can't look at the news without seeing him signing something. I'm so tired of the words executive order. Every day, 4 and 5 times. Is our pace as a community matching his? Do you place value on your time every day and understand the importance of pushing every moment to try to achieve? You may not be doing it, but they are certainly doing it. They're planning, they have pace, they know where they're going, they get together as a community, they understand what's happening in the economic and political world. Are we doing that in our community? So that's really what the book is all about. It's a long journey where a young man who is a slave incorporates all those different tenets and philosophies in order to get to where he wants to go. But it took him every bit of that to succeed. And so that's the thing I'll end with, is that the big question is whether or not we are prepared as a community for what we face. And I think dark trades may provide a little bit of instruction in terms of how we are prepared to face the obstacles